Hello, welcome to Adaptive Technology Today. Today I have a very special guest, Maggie Winston, who is one of my biggest heroes. I'm so pleased you're with us today, Maggie.
Hi.
So, Maggie is what I like to call a professional advocate. Can you talk a little bit about how you got into advocacy?
Sure. Well, I guess I got into disability advocacy in particular. Probably in 2005, I acquired a spinal cord injury from a rare autoimmune disorder called transverse myelitis. So it was like a pretty normally functioning 21-year-old, and then suddenly within a few hours, I became quadriplegic. So that was my introduction into disability and sort of one day, and it just became really obvious that I was going to need to start finding my own way in the world. And so my mom was an amazing advocate, and she helped me navigate the healthcare system and acquire a waiver. And so I just kind of learned from her and in talking to my doctors and talking to service providers and stuff, and like I said, navigating the system in order to get the care that I need.
That's
And
that's amazing.
um,
It must have been so hard for you to deal with.
yeah, it was. It was really difficult, but it's just you know, shit happens, and you just kind of gotta move forward. And yeah, it was hard,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
still is some days.
yeah. Were you angry?
I don't really think that that's ever been a problem for me. I come from a very resilient family, and I was super cherished as a child. So for some reason, I always tell people I might be chemically imbalanced in the other direction. I just don't
That
struggle with anger or depression or, yeah.
that's awesome because it seems to me the natural reaction would be why? How come this happened? Um,
Hmm.
and I think
Yeah.
that's one of your secrets is that you're just like I gotta keep going, and I'm kind of like that, you know,
Hmm.
kind of the same way. So um, can you talk about some of the limitations that you have? Because I know a lot of people may not know much about your disability. So,
Some of my limitations.
yeah.
Sure. Okay. So I have a C3 high level spinal cord injury. So I have no functional use of my arms or my legs. I need 24-hour support in my home. So I have these awesome, like 5 or 6 ladies that come and help me with all of my needs. Like bathroom, dressing, eating, all essential life functions. I need somebody to help me with. I drive a large power wheelchair. Here, I can back up a little bit, and I have
Yes, model for us. That's lovely.
with my face. So I have this nifty little headset, this necklace, I say, that hangs around my neck, and so I have a joystick that I move with my chin.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about some of your technology. I know you just got a new chair.
Yeah, my third new chair. And
Yeah,
this one is pretty sweet. It's pretty super awesome. It folds me and bends me in any way that I need to be comfortable. It has Bluetooth capability, so I'm able to connect with my iPhone. So anything that I can drive with my chin control. I can control my phone with my chin control. And it has some more capabilities too that I probably need to program an environmental control unit.
I was going to
Um,
ask about that.
Pretty
Because,
awesome.
yeah, I was going to ask about that for your home because I know you have a special home and I was wondering if you have any environmental controls there.
Yeah, at home I use an Alexa. So I
Yeah,
use the Echo Tower that controls my lights, my fan.
and that gives you a lot of independence.
Yeah, I mean, it's just pretty sweet to be able to. I like it. It can do so much more than I'm using it for right now. It just it's so in depth. It just and it kind of costs a lot. It's a little spendy, but it's really nice to be able to independently do little things like that. Absolutely.
Well, because what were you doing before asking for help? Uh, how often would you ask for help? Like,
I mean, yeah, I guess I'm still asking for help with lots of things, but I personally like to utilize anything that can offer me some independence in some way, just because it gives me that sense of autonomy and control, and I'm kind of a control freak.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's okay, especially when you have a disability. You want to have as much control as you possibly can over whatever you can, because there's so much we can't control. Um, and you
Certainly.
and you have some special help at home, don't you? You have one
I,
for you have some. I have one person in particular who's really special at home. Um,
well, I would say I have three people in particular at home that
yes,
are really
yes.
special. Yes, I am. I'm engaged and I have a fiance who we live together and he's amazing. And I have teenagers. I have twin 14-year-old boys that live at home with us half the time also.
Wow, and I know that was a big uh, hurdle to have access to them.
Yeah, to have equal access to them. Yes,
Yes,
that was a large hurdle.
and it may surprise people to bring this up on a technology podcast, but I bring it up because um, people with disabilities want to have full lives and um, families and relationships, and you're a great example of that. And
Thanks.
I know that it was a
I guess I would throw in there that that's like not just people with disabilities, but like people just want to do what they want. And it seems really strange that just because somebody has a disability, that somebody else would think that they're incapable of like everything, just
yeah,
across the.
yeah. I agree. I definitely see a lot of that. We have a lot of dating classes for people with disabilities, and I think, why is this just for people with disabilities? Surely the rest of society could use a dating class as well.
Absolutely.
I,
It's
maybe
very
maybe if more people took
it's
them,
scary for
have.
everyone.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I
Very
think that's
intimidating
important.
process.
And I know that in Alaska we are working on getting technology as part of the waiver. You, can you talk a little bit about that?
I mean, I guess I'm not as up on the exact programs that are going to be available. But as an independent living center employee, shout out to my independent living advocates out there, we are able to access funding and find grants and stuff. We work with like ATLA, the Assistive Technology Library of Alaska, and so regardless of if there's like a waiver service or not, I think that we're good at accessing that. We work with DVR too. Like I'm able to have all of my assistive technology funded because I have a waiver and because of some of the different services that I receive. So I still think there will be ways to access that.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about that because I am in the process of applying for grants for more assistive technology, but unfortunately they denied me because I got a grant last year. And, they were like, nope.
Probably
So
like
I,
a mini grant.
yes,
Well, you should be able to have access to that once a year.
Yeah, I have to wait till June, and it's kind of frustrating because we have a map of everything I want and need, and it's not asking a lot. It's like changing a few light bulbs around here, um,
Mm-hmm.
um, getting a med dispenser that I can open myself so I can take my pills.
It's nice.
Simple things that most people I know take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Is there one thing that you can do now that you have your new chair and stuff that has really opened everything up for you?
Well, I really like being able to check my email in the car. That's pretty cool. I have like a 20-minute drive to work every day. And I don't like to be just inundated with emails as soon as I get into the office. So it's kind of that's pretty cool. I guess I wouldn't say changed my life. What has changed my life though is the ability to control the music in my frickin' car.
Yes.
So my phone, I have this little Bluetooth piece that Bluetooths to my phone, and I can just tell Siri whatever song I want to play, or I can use my chin control now to bop through my music. I would say the people, me and everyone else in my family, my sons especially, are total music snobs, and we like to be in control of what's playing. And so it makes me feel so powerful to be able to control the music.
Oh, I love that. And that's a good example of something super simple that most people would think it's just music. Why is it important? But man, to be able to change a song or based on your mood, that's amazing.
It's
That's so
so great.
awesome. And
Yeah.
you mentioned that you work advocating for independent living. I I know you also have a special volunteer job um,
Mhm.
with the state. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I have a few of those also, but currently I'm the chair of the Governor's Council on Disabilities and Special Education. And you being my counterpart vice chair, so I think that you're
Yeah.
going to be taking that leadership role like this summer, which I'm super excited for.
Oh, I'm honored and thrilled. I had no idea when you asked me how I was going to do that. Now I have a much better grasp on what the governor's council does and stuff. Can you just tell us a little bit about that for people who don't know?
Sure. So we fulfill five roles actually within the state of Alaska, but mainly we are the state of Alaska's DD Council. And so I think early 2000s, the DD Act was passed nationally, and that sort of really started making advocacy like just way more accessible in the United States, just because it enabled every single state or mandated every state to have a DD council, to have a UCED, which is a University Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities, and a PNA, and so that's Protection and Advocacy, and we have the Disability Law Center for that. And so it's just kind of created this like three-headed dragon of like amazing, fierce advocacy. And so that's what we do at the Governor's Council is we advocate for individuals with disabilities.
Yeah, yeah, and we have some amazing colleagues that we work with. Everyone is just so passionate, uh,
Yeah.
and we've been able. So we are not a group who just complains about how things don't work. We've been able to change some laws and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We most exciting, I think, for me anyway, was SB 174 that we helped to initiate and get passed last year, and it's this awesome aspirational language for the state of Alaska for the shared DD vision. Essentially, just saying that we want to live meaningful lives and we want policies to be built around meaning, and we want a flexible system that will be individualized and enable people to have more meaningful lives. And that's what everybody wants, I think. I think that's a pretty safe statement to say. Everybody wants a meaningful life.
I hope so. I hope. And
Yeah,
that's,
right.
if you don't, I don't really have time. If you don't, I don't really have time for you.
But it just makes me really proud to be an Alaskan and to live in this state where I'm valued regardless of my ability.
Right, right. And you've done so much that because because of what happened, you've been able to do so much that so you turned something that could have been awful into something amazing. And I think that's a lesson for all of us. I love that.
Thanks a lot.
And that's why you're one of my favorite people.
Ah, well, you're one of my favorite people too, Corey.
And as I said, it may sound funny to bring this up on a technology podcast, but listen, technology is only part of independence. Uh, you have to really go out and make a difference. So if there's one thing you would like people to know uh, before we sign off here, what would that be?
I guess so. A lot of my strength really comes from that independent living philosophy. And it really is a philosophy, it's a way of life. And so when I think about like what's going to make my life better, like how can I be better? How can I do better? Then I look for the people before me that also did better. Like Ed Roberts, that story is absolutely amazing. He's the father of the independent living movement and philosophy. And so when I think about like individuals like him, and he didn't accept no for an answer. And when a barrier came up, then he just addressed it, or he just like went on anyway. And so we're all going to experience barriers in our life, no matter if we have a disability or not. You just don't get to make it through life without like pain and suffering and difficulty and challenge. It just doesn't happen. And so you want to be able to get hit with those things and then get back up again and keep moving forward.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and you're doing it.
Thanks.
And thank you so much for coming today and taking the time to speak with us. One last thing I want to ask, which is if people want to get involved um, with advocating, uh, where can they go?
Well, it just depends on statewide or national. So if you live in the state of Alaska and you want to get into advocacy, then you look up the Governor's Council on Disabilities and Special Education. You look up our statewide peer support group called Peer Power. You find the Center for Independent Living that services your community. We have all kinds of centers all over that service the entire state of Alaska. Plus, we have a state independent living council. And those independent living centers are your disability resource centers. So anything you need to know about advocacy comes from these centers. When you ask anybody what the core purpose of a Center for Independent Living is, it's advocacy, advocacy, advocacy.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good way of life. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Corey.
Sure.